tweet it out.
Charlie, how are you?
Oh man, I'm doing just fine here in the danger zone. Right, this is what the 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks now. I saw
13 days, but who's counting?
I saw a very good tweet. I think it was from the Hunter Walk, the venture capitalist. It was like, I'm probably going to. It's weird to know that in 14 days I'm going to be crying over something. I just don't know. I just don't know if it's good, bad, what it is. It's just I'm just gonna be crying.
Yeah. It's there was a text thread among some of my friends tonight that was like, where are you guys gonna be? Do you want to do a Zoom on election night? And I was like, even if I could, even if I were not gonna be working that night, the thought of being on a hangout with my friends, watching that it's the Bachelor reunion show or something, is it just feels discordant.
It's just it's one of those things. Everyone I know does not want to be around anybody else. There's no whatever it is, you just want to carve out as much buffer zone to just deal with whatever is coming and just not be around other people.
What are you gonna do on election night?
A couple of close family friends in the area were wanting to get together, and I was like, I don't know. This might be best watched in my panic room of here. This is my attic. I might just be here completely alone, just looking at Twitter and watching YouTube streams of whatever. I don't know, or maybe watching it on Twitch.
Oh yeah, who's going to be streaming?
I have no idea.
We shouldn't stream. That's a bad idea.
We should not stream. Absolutely not. Did you tweet this out to anyone? Should I tweet this out?
I'm doing it right now. Did you see Casey Newton's newsletter today about Twitch and this very subject?
I did not. No. This is we don't normally do this at this hour, and I didn't look at my email since 5.
It's sort of nice.
What did he say?
Well, I'll save it for you. We can read it together. Actually, let me pull it up here. Yeah, it's so interesting. I feel like I have never. There was a very small subset of journalists on Twitter last night who were amped in a way that I had never seen them amped before. You could tell who the gamers are by who was losing their minds. And I, it was me and Gene Park and Alan Henry and a few other people who are I know are gamers, and we were all just what is happening? Sitting members of Congress on Twitch playing Among Us,
posting their specs, right? Just
oh yeah, that was the best thing. I gotta find that. That was amazing.
So what I asked was. What I asked Twitter last night was is this what it feels like for what I feel when I see a sitting congressperson posting their PC specs? Is that how it feels for people in when the Trump campaign posts some GIF of him doing a WWE hold on somebody? Is that the same sort of when I'm oh, I feel so seen, right? I feel
right.
Somebody's actually speaking to me. Is that the same thing?
I think it is the same thing. I think that's what representation feels like.
That's representation in politics.
Yeah, and gamers, had their day in the sun last night. So, did you actually watch the stream while it was happening?
I did. Well, I mean, I didn't watch the entire thing because I had to make dinner. But I watched like the middle part of it, and it was just like it was pretty wild to me just how much like if I didn't know anything about the personalities, I wouldn't have thought anything was like different. It felt like a very normal like whenever I've ever peeked into a stream like that's what it's like. And it didn't feel stilted. It didn't feel anything weird like that.
Yeah, it was bizarrely like normal, and with I guess I expected. I don't know what I expected, but like you can totally imagine, the scenario where like a member of Congress shows up on Twitch and their like staffers have like surrounded them and prepped them, and like they have like a fancy backdrop behind them, and it's like feels very like they've done this before. Like I think Matt Gaetz has like gone on Twitch before. Like other politicians have gone on Twitch, but like none of them felt at home on Twitch.
Right.
I don't know. It was a very weird phenomenon.
I remember when Barack Obama did a Reddit AMA in like 2011 or something, like for the 2012 election, and there was like the photos from it were like it was like a war room for him just to like and he was like hunting, pecking, just like answering these things that people were like, this is the future, this is it. And flash forward to 8 years later, it's just we're streaming now, man.
Totally. It was sort of amazing. Let's watch a clip of it, but we have a guest too.
We do.
Do you want to introduce our guest?
Our guest is Hassan Piker, who is one of the Twitch streamers, like one of the people who's very popular on the platform. Was with the Young Turks, branched out the early this year, I think, and does like politics streams. Also, is like playing games on there, and has just sort of like made like a real sort of like progressive leftward like push into this like arena, and was one of the people that played with AOC last night. So I guess she put a call out a couple of days ago to like, hey, I'm going to play Among Us. Like, who should I play with? How should we do this? To sort of like do a get out the vote thing. And he was one of the people. So, he brought in his like whatever, 600,000 followers. But yeah, so this is somebody who I'm actually like totally horrified, because this is somebody who knows what they're doing. This is like deigning to come on to our just like garbage sideshow situation. This is like well below his
Yeah, this is like we have like a kazoo jam band in the garage, and like George Harrison shows up to like play with us. That's a very dated reference.
It is. You're not that old.
I know.
You're
I'm not
that old.
But we're gonna bring him on. Hassan, what's up?
What's going on, guys? Can you hear me?
Can you hear us?
Oh, thank God. Okay, I was doing like testing 1 2 3 over here, like nonstop, thinking that you guys couldn't hear me or something.
No, we got you. Sorry, we can't hear you until you come on the stream, so it's a weird thing with our software.
Wait, I'm not leaking the link or anything, am I?
No.
I hope
like they can't join, right?
Oh no! Don't send out that link.
Oh no, they probably saw it. Oh crap! I hope I didn't ruin it. Okay, well we're about to find out. There's 30,000 people in here. If they start joining, and if we try to start joining, then that you might need to make a new room. I apologize.
No worries. We can. It allows a maximum of 10 people on the stream, so at most like 7 people will be able to try to get in.
Okay, well I showed it again. For some reason, it's like not letting me delete it. Oh no, they didn't see it. Never mind. Actually, they might not have seen it at all.
Oh
Great.
Man,
I love it.
As long as they don't have access to like our New York Times CMS and like can't publish.
Yeah, as long as they can't get into my bank account, I'm good.
So how are you, man? You're like you're famous. You already were, but you're more famous now.
I'm good. I don't feel that way. I don't know, but if you guys say so. I'm just doing what I do. I just sit at home in my living room. I wear my comfy sweatpants and I just yell into a camera. Pretty much all I do, actually.
Wait, so you tell us how this happened. Like, how did you end up on a Twitch stream with AOC and Ilhan Omar? Like, what was the process there?
So what happened is AOC tweeted out that she was interested in playing Among Us and potentially streaming it. And I saw that because someone immediately in my audience was like, oh my God, this is perfect. You know, she's going to start Twitch streaming. This is your realm. And inform me. And I got excited and I was like, all right, this is my opportunity. By the way, while I'm talking to you guys, I'm also trying to fix my stream real quick.
And you definitely did leak the room link, because there are now 5 other people trying to get onto the stream. I'm not. Well, they can't get on, but they're like in the waiting room.
Oh, great. Okay, that's perfect. And that makes me feel a little less bad that they can't get in at least.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Poopy Diaper 420. You're not gonna make it on today, but I appreciate you checking in.
He's probably got so many great things to say, though.
I know. I'm really. Maybe we'll change our minds later.
All right. So, yeah. Okay. Hold on. I'm almost done. I'm almost done with this. Okay. Boom. All right. I did it. It. Okay. Get out of studio mode. Oh no, that looks terrible.
So what do you? Are we on yours now? Is this what's happening?
Yes. I was trying to take your stream and blast it onto mine, but for some weird reason, maybe it's because it's too small, that it's just not. It's not. The quality is really poor. I don't know what's happening here. If they can't come on to the studio, then it doesn't matter if the code shows, right? That's what I.
Right.
I feel like, okay, then perfect. I'm just going to show that. I'm just going to show that screen then. That's the best way to do this. Sorry. That's why I thought we were going to do it on Discord. That's why I was like ready to do that.
You are talking to 2 people who have no idea what they are doing. Despite any understanding we might have of the internet, we have absolutely no clue how to make this happen in any other way than this like cookie cutter program that we purchased. So
yeah, we need a tutorial. So okay, so you get this, you realize like you're going to be streaming with AOC. Like, how did the sort of like, was there like a dry run? Like, did you all try this beforehand, or was it just kind of like you just showed up and did it?
Damn it. So good. I had done it. Oh, there it is. I did it. Okay. This is perfect. All right. This is finally, we're good forever. Okay. So no, we did not do a dry run. All we did was pretty much all we did was, DM a little bit. And then I got connected to someone on her team, one of her like social media managers. I immediately linked her up with, Twitch. And people on the back end, like people that helped her get verified immediately, stuff like that. And they also introduced her to someone by the name of Aiden. He's one of my moderators, a contractor with Twitch as well. And he has this program called Fossabot, and he has his own like professional moderators, like event moderators, and also my own personal moderators who have a better understanding of like moderating political content. So what we ended up doing is just collaborating on that in that way, where I just kind of gave up my mods for the day for the event, pretty much for AOC and also Ilhan Omar. And on the technical front, we just kind of told her what she needed to get, and they
like you sent her a gear list. You're like, you need.
Yeah, I did. I don't even know if she followed through on the gear list, to be honest. But
I mean, her setup looked nice.
No, it is legit. Her setup is absolutely legit. Like, I mean, she definitely still had like the 2-screen, which is something that most people forget usually. Like, I could tell
using like OBS or like what's the, I don't know. I don't know anything about this.
I think she probably used Streamlabs. I assume she used Streamlabs. I think she did.
This was amazing though. This Ilhan Omar posting her specs. Let's just take a look at this. So we got, I mean, to be clear, that is so much better than the specs on my like broke ass refurbished Dell that I bought for $250 from Amazon. That's like a legit rig.
Yeah. That's I believe that's Izzy's computer. Izzy works on Ilhan Omar's team, and he was the one who I was coordinating the effort with on Ilhan Omar's side.
Amazing. So yeah, tell us about your night. Like, did you think this was going to be as big as it was? I think it had what, like 420,000 live viewers at some point.
Yeah, it got like 440,000 concurrent, like at the peak. On AOC side alone, I think I had like 60 at my peak, and like Pokey had something around that too. So we definitely went over 500,000 concurrent viewers easily. And that is remarkable for any Get Out the Vote initiative that you put together, let alone one that you put together in less than 24 hours, certainly. But beyond that, her viewership, her peak concurrent viewership actually broke the individual peak concurrent viewership as well, where she is the third most watched show. I think one of them was like Shroud's Return stream that had, I think that's number 2, and then Ninja with Drake is number 1. So she is now officially number 3 on individuals at
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. I did not think that it would be this big. I thought we'd break like probably 200K or something like that. But it was really wild to see. And I think that's a testament to how much of her audience is younger, and also how many people she can push to even a newer platform that they might not even be familiar with. Because not only is she famous, obviously, on the Twitch space, but she very clearly has enough fans that were willing, and I say fans, like, because obviously these aren't her constituents, right? Which is a crazy thing to say about a politician, and usually it's probably a cause for concern. But in the case of AOC, I appreciate it. I like that. It's not a bad thing at all, especially because I think she uses it for good. So yeah, she had enough people that were interested and willing and able to go onto Twitch and watch her stream for 3 hours with a bunch of random, Twitch and YouTube celebrities.
It struck me as kind of weird too, though, that so many people were surprised that it went well. Like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like if you've watched one of her Instagram live videos, or just like seen the way that like she conducts herself on the internet, that it's like it's like a second nature thing. And there's just like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like if you go into it with like a good attitude, trying to like try some shit and be authentic, like it's not hard to fail in that sense, right? For her. And that's why I was surprised by people thought it was going to be a disaster or something like that.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't have a lot of experience like getting random people to stream for the first time ever, but it was beyond my expectations. Like I didn't expect the absolute worst, but this was, even if I thought this was going to be a good and easy process, I never thought it would be this successful. And a big chunk of that success is entirely on all the people that worked on the back end, whether it be my moderators, whether it be Aiden, who I mentioned, whether it be the Twitch people that were facilitating on the back end, making sure that like everything was running smoothly. And also AOC and Ilhan Omar's like personal teams, like their social media management teams, and most importantly themselves. Like they were charismatic on camera. It was seamless. It actually made me a little jealous, because it reminded me of the first streams that I had on this platform, and they certainly were not as technically proficient, nor as entertaining, nor as interesting as what AOC and Ilhan Omar were able to put together.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie and I were talking about this a little bit before you came on, but like there have been politicians who have come on Twitch before, like, who have been interviewed, like, Trump streams his rallies on Twitch. Like people have, I think Matt Gaetz or like some other like gamer congressman has like come on and done like a little appearance, but like it felt very much like they were kind of tourists. Like they were just like dropping in to like, you know, it's sort of like when they go, you know, to a diner in Iowa to like, you know, eat the hot dogs and like shake the hand. It was like a very much like a drop-in situation. This felt different to me. It felt like yes. I don't know, like try to like help me understand what felt different about it.
No, it was organic. It's like the difference between that in the Iowa race, the difference between like figuring out the price of corn or whatever they were talking about in Iowa. You know what I'm talking about? That viral clip.
Yeah,
the debate. It's like the difference between like the inauthentic talking point person versus someone who is like someone who's with it in every sense of the word. And AOC is with it.
This is what you wanted to be doing on Tuesday night. Like that was, I think that's like what it comes down to. Like it wasn't an assignment. It was just like generally what she wanted to be doing and how she wanted to do it.
Absolutely.
Should we watch a supercut?
Go ahead. And while you turn that on, I'm just gonna say I'm excited to have Representative Duncan D. Hunter on the broadcast. When he gets out of jail.
You guys can call me AOC. Mike Pence can't call me AOC, but you guys can.
All right.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna get imposter.
Mode.
Is there a way to mute ourselves?
Yes, on this. Racksnack.
I didn't even know I recorded myself.
Ma'am,
I can't kill Pokey. She's so nice.
are you safe, ma'am?
Okay, I think I have to do it. Sorry, Pokey.
It was an honor. It was an honor.
I love that. I love all the reactions of people who got killed.
How do I call a meeting? Oh, it's
and just being like, thank you. Thank
How
you
do
for
I call a
killing me.
meeting? It wasn't him.
I figured it out.
Okay.
Ilhan
Click on
Henry.
Cold. I passed AOC on my way up. Did you murder Myth in cold blood up there?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
No.
That's good enough for me.
Get her out.
I'm so sorry.
I'm trying to be more observant. Okay.
Now I'm murdering a sitting congresswoman.
After everything we've been through.
Okay, so
I mean, it was horrible on my end, just so you know. It was like a slideshow. I don't know if it looked like that on your end too, but
I need a better rig.
guys, this is the New York Times top tech reporters. Just want to put that out there.
I know it's pretty sad.
Listen. We write about it. We don't live it. Okay. Sorry.
Oh God.
Our job is like people like from my family to like people who like read it. Like no one realizes the job is just like stare into the gaping maw of like the worst possible shit imaginable, and then like talk to a couple people about it and write it down. It doesn't mean that like I have a good rig at my house. It's not that.
Now that I made fun of you guys here, I'll make fun of myself as well, because everyone in my chat is now saying you're being rude. You're being rude. I made a deliberate effort to reach out to Kevin Roos right here. That's right in front of you in DMs on Twitter. For like years, okay? It's the most embarrassing thing ever. I'm just gonna admit it right now. And I told Charlie this when we talked on Twitter. I was like, oh my God, like I love you guys. I love you guys' writing. Like, I think you're both great, you and Kevin. I've been trying to reach out to Kevin for years in the DMs, and I went back and I looked at it, and it's like since what was it, like 2017 or 2018? Like, dude, I love your Facebook coverage, Kevin. Like
I felt so shitty because I was like, you understand, but like my DMs are just like a garbage fire constantly, and like I like write about QAnon and like neo-Nazis, and so I just like it, like 75% of it is just people calling me a pedophile, and then there's like, you know, the legitimate ones that slip through. So I hereby apologize.
Can I read one?
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
This is October 3rd, 2018. Hey, Kevin, great work with the CrowdTangle list. Was wondering if you look at video as well. October 31st, 2018. No answer. October 31st, 2018. Awesome daily piece. All publishers deal with the same things on Facebook.
Oh,
June
man.
23rd, no answer. June 23rd, 2020. And then I sent you a link, Facebook content moderator. If someone's wearing a MAGA hat, I think it was like a Veritas thing, like of fake news that I sent you, and no answer to that as well.
I'm so sorry.
To be fair, I work with Kevin, and you gotta schedule meetings in his calendar with his team of assistants.
Get out of here!
It's just it's a real. There's his people. It's his whole network.
I hate you. No,
he's
I am generally decent at most communication except for Twitter DMs.
I was just excited that there's like people at the New York Times who are like tracking Facebook radicalization as closely as I experienced it, because I was a content creator predominantly on Facebook at that time, and it was disastrous. And I was seeing it, and I'm like, oh, someone's like writing about this thoughtfully. Like, let me reach out. No response.
Well, here we are. It took us a while, but here we are. And I'm so curious. I want to ask you, because you are the expert on this, but like, there have been people after today, after the stream last night, saying like Twitch is the future of politics, and like this is a preview of what it's going to be like when like young people, get elected to Congress, and this is going to be like, the next big political platform. So like, do you think that's true?
Do I think Twitch is going to be the next big political platform? I don't know. I don't think so. It's look, the most important part of Twitch, like what makes Twitch great, is the authenticity. Is the fact that you can't really fake it for 12 hours a day. Like I can't be someone different, someone that I'm not for 12 hours, especially when, right now there's 25,000 people who are like hyper focusing on every little mannerism and every little thing that I do. So they know when I have a bad day even. So it would be impossible for someone to be inauthentic and brand friendly for an extended period of time. There are people who are able to do that, but no one would risk it. Like the reward is not there if you are trying to promote yourself, especially when the downsides are tremendous. You could get angry because you're constantly talking to someone. There's constant back and forth between you and chat. Someone could piss you off. You could have a bad day, and then you slip up one time, and it doesn't matter. All 12 hours of content, years and years of like working on progressive policies or like trying to advocate for progressive positions does not matter. With one slip up, you can throw everything away. And that's precisely why, for example, when the Washington Post wrote about the AOC Ilhan Omar stream, the guy who wrote about it, who didn't even reach out to me for comment or anything, mentioned me and H Bomber guy as like the only two people that were like kind of political. And the only thing that he decided to write in that circumstance about me was Hasan is only notable for his 9/11 comments. And that's really frustrating, but it comes with the territory. And also that's just how it is. And no one, I think, will take that risk. And if you don't take that risk, you're not going to grow on this platform.
But I feel like the plus side of that is, and this is the thing that like I know people who do a lot of podcasts say is great, like who do like chat interview podcasts and just sort of like pump them out, is like when you have that vast body of like archive content, that's like it's much harder to do. Like if Kevin and I write, let's say 52 columns per year, which whatever, like that's pretty easy to like go through and like fisk that and like get take out what you want, or even go through like tweets and they become liabilities. Like it feels like the stream though is a little harder. Like if you're broadcasting for 12 hours every day, you're like you got to have people who are like pretty dedicated to like.
There are.
Yeah,
I think Kevin is probably more aware of the kinds of people that do dedicate themselves almost entirely to logging every single thing that you do so they can use it against you down the line. There's an entire group of people that spend all their time and effort on platforms like this. They're no lifers otherwise. And they certainly do catalog all that information and upload it elsewhere so they can use it against you in any moment. When they feel like, even if it's out of context, when they feel like it's a good opportunity for them to strike.
Right. I mean, one thing that I'm thinking about is like the comment you made about authenticity is like, I actually think that's why Twitch might be like a future bigger part of politics, and just streaming in general. Like, I've been watching a lot of streams this year because I was doing a podcast about YouTube, and like I was just, inhaling like old VODs from like, PewDiePie from like 2016. And like, I just watched so many like streamers. And when I go back and like watch like a presidential debate by comparison, or like a politician being interviewed on TV, like it feels so fucking fake. Like it just feels so produced and rehearsed. And I think that like, because people, I don't think that necessarily you're going to have to be a Twitch streamer to be a successful politician, but I think that a lot of Twitch streamers like will have the same traits that like make for successful politicians, which is that authenticity and like not acting like a robot when you're on stage or on camera.
Yeah, but Donald Trump style, I think is what you mean, because ultimately when you're on, especially on the liberal end of the political spectrum, I think our side is less forgiving of minor mishaps and use that sort of thing against you. If you're like a real human being in a moment, I think liberals are more inclined of using that against you, especially if you're a leftist and you are outspoken against liberals and liberalism in general as well. Even if you vote for the Democratic Party, it doesn't really matter. I think that more people are inclined to use that against you, whereas on the Republican side, I think like bravado is more successful and is seen as authenticity, even if it's not authentic, like Donald Trump. I just can't think of like a liberal example of that. You know what I mean?
But so to that point, like, does it worry you? Like I saw this Mother Jones piece today that you're featured in, talking about the carving out a progressive space on Twitch. And I mean, do you feel that this is going to get potentially overrun with that sort of fake bravado authenticity thing, that it's going to go through the YouTube style, far right colonization, radicalization pipeline thing? No,
this is the whoa, I think this might be the second time I'm actually encountering this question today. A lot of people have the same fear. It's understandable. But the reason why I don't believe that it will happen here on Twitch is because, look, I've worked with Facebook. I've worked with YouTube. I've worked with Google. And now I'm working with Twitch. And I have I've never seen a platform that actually strikes down hate speech as quickly as Twitch does. And that can even be a problem from time to time. And I say this as someone who's been banned more times than most other content creators on the platform, not for hate speech, obviously, but for other things. And they're very good at policing hate speech and other violations of the terms of service, that it makes it very difficult for a populist, at least, or macho right-wing movement to organize, especially when so much of reactionary politics revolves around quite literally reacting to something that liberals have done that frustrates you and oftentimes engages in hate speech and things like that. It's hard to toe that line and be an authentic right-winger and an authentic populist right-winger while also trying to evade the terms of service.
Why do you think Twitch is better than that? Like than all the other networks?
It's smaller than YouTube in general. I think it's like it's not as big as YouTube, so it's easier to moderate so far, and they've been able to scale appropriately. I think that's part of the reason. And the other part is I think they want to monetize and they want to maintain high CPMs. So they probably understand that that's not going to happen if your platform is known for having the alt-right radicalization pipeline. With YouTube, they have a near monetization on video. Well, maybe not a monetization, but like near monopoly, on video, but it's not even near monopoly. But they host so much that they can get away with it. I think. With Twitch, they are more careful, especially about who they partner, who they verify, and that process is something that they pay attention to for sure.
It's interesting because like the sort of politics of like prominent. I've been thinking a lot about this story I read, I think it was last year, about how all these YouTube reactionaries were like running for office in Brazil and winning by like huge margins, because like not because they necessarily were like the biggest YouTubers in Brazil, but because they had like cultivated these like hyper loyal fan bases who, you know, and because I think probably to your earlier point, like they were just good at like modern media and communication. And so like I've been sort of waiting for that to happen here, like the sort of YouTubers run for office thing. I mean, do you think that could happen either with YouTube or with Twitch?
We have had a YouTuber run for office. His name was Cenk Uygur, and he failed disastrously. I do remember that. If you recall. So again, it depends on who's running for office, what their background is, and what they're advocating for. I think it's very difficult for YouTubers to run for office especially on the Democratic Party ticket. Like mainstream media celebrities are more brand friendly and more manicured, so it's a lot easier for them to do so. But even when you look at Laura Loomer, or if you look at someone like what's the dude that peed in his own mouth, Joey Salads, like those guys have tried. I mean, they're unserious. They're serious. Yeah. They're unserious, so it's a little different. But like,
right.
If you were to have someone like Steven Crowder to run for office, I think that even in that circumstance, I don't know. It just depends on where they're running. It would probably be easier for a Republican to win power because reactionary politics works really well with the Republican base, and the Republican machine welcomes reactionary politics and doesn't immediately push it back. Whereas leftist populism is met with a lot of disdain on the liberal machine, and they will attack you, especially if you try to primary out an establishment Democrat or something like that. They will do everything they can. I mean, I will go so far as to, I love you guys' reporting, but I will say this. The New York Times did say Cenk Uygur was open-minded towards white supremacists because he debated David Duke and only took back that article. Well, didn't really like rescind or anything like that, but only wrote an additional line under the article saying like we corrected it because he was being sarcastic.
There's actually something interesting in here in that broader theme, which is that like there is a thing with the media, with traditional media, of like being very afraid of just like of having these big conversations or needing to foreground them in like really intense ways, or like having a salacious figure, or even just like debating somebody and needing to be like basically sandbag them in order to not come across as giving someone this big platform. And I think that there's a different situation going on with Twitch, with YouTube, with streamers in general, where it seems like there's a little more, like people are a little more game. Like it's obviously not, we don't want to like just like give any troll a platform, but I think that there's something there, like that willingness to be game and that sort of authenticity of, yeah, come on, and like I don't know that I'm not going to play this like respect civility game with you, but like, well, we can yell at each other a little bit. That actually is really appealing to people in a way that like the mainstream media is too afraid of.
I hate that too, by the way. I legitimately hate that. I think it's really annoying. It works for, I would say, a fraction of the internet content creators. It works for them because they appeal to a very specific kind of people on the internet. And those people are the loudest voices. But I really despise that debate lord mentality. I would much rather captivate as large of an audience as possible by being as entertaining as possible, while also slowly but surely trying to de-radicalize them and trying to move them away from the like psychotic things that they believe in. Now, having said that, though, there is definitely an audience for that. It's called Blood Sports. I'm sure you guys are somewhat familiar with it. It's dying out a little bit, but I think that really fosters a super toxic environment where every single conversation that you end up having with any person, your audience is expecting blood. They want you to like get after their throat, and you can never have you ironically can never have a productive conversation with anyone because everything is for like easily snackable highlight reel moments, and it's all about like, I guess it usually turns into it moves away from a conversation and turns into just an argument where I'm just trying to back you into a pseudo intellectual corner that you can't really get out of, so that I can say this is your position and you have been outed.
Right. I mean, I was thinking about this too, because like I wrote a story last year about this kid who was radicalized, in part through YouTube. He like went, pretty far to the alt-right, and what actually brought him out was watching Destiny streams.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah, and in particular, it was this stream where Destiny, who like I don't know how you'd characterize his politics, but like he's definitely on the left somewhere.
He's more of a neoliberal now. I think originally he was like, I thought when I first met him, I thought he was a social democrat, but I would say he's more of a neoliberal now, but still like very interesting, like very radical on certain issues. When it comes to trans rights and things like that, he is all the way to the left, but then he's like hyper interested in electoralism, but also not very well versed in that world. He's all over the place, but he right.
So, but he does a lot of these like blood sports debates, and he, it was this stream that he did where he was debating Lauren Southern. He like had her on, and like that's not something like I think I would ever do as like an employee of the New York Times, is like debate Lauren Southern, just because I think that would be like I don't know how productive that would be. Like I would be accused of platforming her, whatever. But Destiny debated Lauren Southern, and it was the video that like helped get this guy out of the alt-right rabbit hole, because he loved like the form of blood sports because he'd seen so much of it from like the alt-right YouTubers. And so it was like, he knew what to expect from that format. And instead of watching like Ben Shapiro owning some like gender studies major at Oberlin, he was watching Destiny own Lauren Southern, and it was really effective. So like, do you think that like part of de-radicalizing people has to involve like sort of mimicking the form of the things that got them radicalized?
Different strokes for different folks. Certainly. That's why I said there is definitely a very loud minority of people on the internet that do love that kind of content. I think if I'm doing deprogramming as far as like de-radicalizing people from reactionary politics, another part of that de-radicalization for me is trying to get them away from that toxic blood sport mentality, that mentality that seeks out contentious conversations like that. Because I truly do not think that is where like ideas thrive. But having said that, I will point this out. So I think Destiny does a very good job with that. I've always stated this. He is probably one of the very few people that does a very good job with dealing with Nazi idiots. And you have to study their talking points very well to be able to deal with them. But having said that, I think that, again, the impact that you can have with that is not as broad as the impact you can have by like also putting out a steady stream of content and reaching different avenues and trying to bring people in through more positive means. The worst thing you can do, however, is try to deal with a Nazi when you're not well equipped, or try to deal with someone in the alt-right when you're not well equipped and try to debate them, because that will be terrible, because you will look hysterical and bad. But the worst thing you can do is something that I think the media used to do a lot more that they don't do anymore, which is normalize Nazis and I don't know why I'm blasting the New York Times here because again,
No,
I
go
love you
for
guys
it.
reporting. I love you guys reporting, and I have friends at the New York Times as well. On top of that, but the pleasant Nazi next door is one that I think of all the time. I don't even know if Charlie was at the New York Times that time. I think he might have been at BuzzFeed back then.
I wrote a column about how it was bad for BuzzFeed.
Yeah.
So
the pleasant Nazi next door, it still is one that I remember because at the time I'm watching these alt-right like the alt-right community gain momentum, and I'm seeing the gray lady, all the news that's fit the print, printing an article that is normalizing and making, like, trying to make an argument about the banality of evil, but then missing the mark so disastrously and like literally showing a Nazi as like a normal dude, when in fact their mentality revolves around like the complete execution and genocide of people that don't look like them. So that, I think, in a lot of ways, given the reach and the legitimacy that mainstream media outlets have, had the worst kind of impact. But they've moved away from that. New York Times has done incredible work. I think the daily Derek Black conversation is one I also will always recommend people talking about how this ex-Nazi talking about how like it was insane that Donald Trump said there were very fine people on both sides. So there's the good and the bad. But I think that the bad sometimes has really damaging outcomes.
So thinking of the Derek Black thing, like I read that book written about him, and I've been reporting and thinking about de-radicalization like alongside Kevin for a while, and I feel like one way that it works is, yes, you have one of those like wake up moments, right, where you see something and it changes, fractures something in your mind. But I think a lot of the time it's like you have to have a bunch of people take a real overarching interest in you for a long time and like kind of like walk you through that picture. Like Derek Black had 3 people who had no reason to give him as much of the benefit of the doubt and like support and go along on that as long as they did. And over time, it rewired his worldview. But I think that's a thing where I want to get a sense of like your strategy when you're thinking about doing that in your own work, because I do think there's a way in which something like streaming 12 hours a day can help that along in ways that like, an article or even just like, a series of videos can't, because you can sort of like be with someone and be that presence over a long period of time, because it doesn't, like, de-radicalization doesn't seem to scale well at all.
Yeah, I think you have to stop it wherever you can. I think that, like, I don't do this to de-radicalize Nazis.
Right.
That's not. Right. There are probably people that are better at going after Nazis and debating them or whatever. And then there's the 40-40-20 rule. 40% of your audience is already on your side. 40% of the opposition is on their side. But then there's a 20% in between that could be convinced otherwise, or maybe they're in the margins. I don't even know if that's all that successful ultimately. I think I really believe that anti-fascist action is infinitely more successful at stopping alt-right organizing on the internet than anything else. I might not agree with a lot of the stuff that from time to time that like Antifa does or whatever, but seriously, it is demonstrably more successful at stopping alt-right organizing. If you discontinue them putting bodies on the streets, if you stop the normalization of Nazi movements that are very deliberately trying to hide within reactionary movements, because there is a lot of alignment ideologically there, right? So I think that is successful, outing that, pointing at that, and never stopping a pressure when it comes to pressuring Nazis. I think that sort of stuff is more successful. And you look at Charlottesville, and then you look at the year after Charlottesville, and you see it. You see it in their Unicorn Riot docs Discord servers, where like Unicorn Riot uncovered a lot of the communication where they were talking about how they can't do this anymore because they're fearful that they might be doxxed and they're fearful that they might lose their jobs. And I think that has been more successful than any amount of like pushing them into far corners of the internet have been infinitely more successful than like trying to debate them and then win them over one Nazi at a time. But having said that, I still have much love for anyone who's trying to de-radicalize people, who are trying to pull them away and are doing anything they can to stop people, even if they turn ex-Nazis into annoying debate lord neoliberals on the internet like Destiny does. I would still deal with annoying debate lord neoliberals who still apply like 4chan tactics whenever they get annoyed with someone than to deal with them as though they were still white supremacists. So
that's interesting. I'm wondering like what you think of sort of the politics of, so one thing that has come up for me a lot in the past couple of years of reporting is that basically that the right did a pretty good job. The Republican establishment, not the Republican establishment, sorry, the like insurgent, nationalist establishment, Steve Bannon and other people did a pretty good job of like realizing early on that like gamers were a political block, not a unified one, not a monolith, obviously, but that like people who were like young men who like spent a lot of time gaming. I think Steve Bannon said this explicitly, like if you could, these people didn't necessarily have a lot going on, and if you could mobilize them and harness that energy, like you could potentially turn those people into Trump voters. Like, do you agree with that sort of narrative? And do you think there's a potential that like something similar could happen on the left?
Right there. Devil's Bargain by Joshua Green. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah. what you're talking about is exactly what Joshua wrote about in regards to Steve Bannon and his time at Goldman Sachs, as he focused on making money off of WoW gold farmers, right? I think it was in like Korea or something.
Yeah, it was in Korea.
Where he understood the mind of a gamer and thought that this is a group of men that could be radicalized and used to your own advantage. Now, I don't know how crusty Steve Bannon, how effective he was personally, but there are definitely people like Milo that were able to make inroads and very specifically try to normalize fascist rhetoric in mainstream media. And I think mainstream media played a role by paying attention to people like Milo and not covering it accurately. Luckily, there are people like yourself, Kevin, who have done a good job pushing back against this nonsense. So, I appreciate what you do. I appreciate what both of you guys do. So it's just about good journalism, and I think that we really in the media we really missed the mark for a very long time. But now
do you think there could be a movement on the left that sort of harnesses the energy of and sort of the uses the kind of language of gaming and streaming and like internet culture to mobilize people for the left?
Yes, that's precisely what I'm doing here. That's precisely my goal. I want leftist coalition building more than anything else, and that is what I very openly state my purpose is and what my interest is. The problem, however, with the comparison of like grassroots organizing on the left versus astroturfing on the right is that capital accumulation makes it so much easier, or the concentration of wealth and power makes it so much easier for right-wing billionaires to just like dump funds into even random race realist dudes like what's his name, JP Garepi or whatever, not even important enough to mention, but like Jeffrey Epstein gave him $60,000. You know what I mean? Like there are so many right-wing YouTubers that can get funds very easily through right-wing think tanks. They hug these reactionaries, whereas on the left, I'm not going to have another. There's only one Pierre Omidyar. You know what I mean? It's not like George Soros is out here being like, "Oh, you think billionaires are a policy failure? Here, take $100,000 and preach that to as many people as possible." So we have to build it on our own. If we want to do mutual aid, or if you want to build a network, or if you want to make leftist organizing sexy, I guess, or if you want to market that. With the current way that the capital works, you have to build that legitimacy and power for yourself on your own, and then move on from there.
I understand the frustration there in the the asymmetry, but it also feels like it's much more sustainable that way because it's a coalitions that are being built. Like I don't know, there's something that you can see with like the right wing funding and media ecosystem that these things like they pop up and there's not like they don't respect the audience. They're not really trying to cultivate it in any sense other than to use it for some purpose. And then these things like they fall apart really quick and no one gives a shit and they move on into the next thing. And it's like I don't know. I feel like there's a way to actually build something sustainable without having those sort of like shadowy figures who are just like using you.
Yeah, there's longevity as long as you're still in it. As long as you're still interested. I mean, it's a lot of labor. I think it's a tremendous undertaking in comparison to just like, I don't know, having someone else finance your entire operation, employing like dodgy labor practices, all number of different things that completely go along with your worldview and your ideology that you can do. Use many interns as you want, for example. So. There are a lot of hurdles, right? Even on the left, or especially on the left. Sorry, in building something like that. But there is longevity there as long as you are still personally invested and constantly working at it. But having said that, I mean, look at the Federalist, right? So like these operations, regardless of how much of a money pit it is, will still work as long as there is a way. I think this is something that reactionaries want more than anything is like intellectual legitimacy, right? That's why they made up a constitutional interpretation such as originalism. I think it's bullshit. That's like, it's the same concept. It's just applying an intellectual patina to reactionary politics. This is what they do all the time. They do it with the interpretation of the Constitution. They do it with right-wing think tanks. They do it with right-wing media outlets that they hope make their perspective and their point of view legitimate. So they have an endless amount of cash that they will constantly funnel to all of those avenues because they just have an endless amount of cash, pretty much. So it's a lot easier for them to continue operating in these circles as long as liberals are willing and able to allow them to attend the same cocktail parties.
Do you think watching the stream last night with AOC and Ilhan Omar and all the other streamers, I was like getting these like nightmarish visions of like a Twitch centered politics where like, Dianne Feinstein like has to show up and like stream Valorant for like 4 hours to like fundraise and like, Devin Nunes is like in there, playing PUBG and like do you think there's any way that like Twitch can play a part in politics and not be totally cringy?
No, there's no way. I just don't. I don't think that well, first of all, Dianne Feinstein is a great example of this. She doesn't need to do that. And not only is she 800 years old, but also she literally doesn't need to do that regardless. Even if she was 60 years old, she wouldn't need to do that. Safe District has the same like funders no matter what, comfortable for the rest of her tenure, which I think this is probably going to be her last cycle, I assume. But so these people don't need to do that at all. So there's no reason for them to do that. The reason why AOC does it, I think, is because she's from the Bernie wing of the party, where Justice Democrats and like Bernie Sanders style politicians understand the importance of grassroots mobilization, and that's why they do it. That's why they reach you in an authentic way. So not only do I think that it's impossible for someone like Dianne Feinstein to do something like that, but they don't even need to do it in the way that it currently works, in the way that you can currently fundraise for your seat. Does that?
Yeah, no, that's.
I don't know if that was a good enough answer.
No, and I guess to stay on like the Twitch and politics thing, like I often wonder when I'm writing about like radicalization and talking to people with big platforms, like there seems to be something that happens where like they sort of get, like, we talk a lot about like people who watch content on the internet like getting radicalized, but something happens to people who make it too. Like, I think we've seen this on YouTube, people sort of wanting to give their audience what they want, like sort of getting pulled more and more into like extreme stuff just to like keep the interest level up and like keep the attention, keep the stats up and like keep the channel alive. And I did a big story on PewDiePie and like, spent a long time interviewing him and talking about his career. And it seems like that was something he felt like sort of happened to him, where like he felt like he had to constantly up the ante to like, keep himself and his audience interested. And I'm wondering, like, maybe this is too personal a question, but like, do you feel like streaming has made your politics more radical?
No. As a matter of fact, I mean, considering the fact that I agitated and argue to vote for Joe Biden, I would go so far as to say that it's the exact opposite of that. That would be, if anything, the more eyeballs that I have on my content, the more risk averse I am, because I don't want to fuck this up, because this is a great place for, this is becoming a great place for organizing, and this is becoming a great place for like-minded people to get together and even change others' minds. So, no, but I do see what you're saying. I think that people that want to make money can do that, and oftentimes do that. I think that they slide more to the reactionary side when they want to do that, though. Whereas I don't think I've done that. I think I've become more liberal.
This is an interesting comment. It says, I feel like Twitch is a little bit less of that. Twitch is more about building relationships, while YouTube is about getting to the top of the algo. I can see that. Like, it's just a different platform.
Yeah, Twitch is more about networking and building relationships and consistently being there for your audience. At least in my experience, that's what I've seen. Like, the biggest growth that I saw was when I had nothing going on and nothing to do, so I would just stream. I would just stream like crazy, and I think that's when I started noticing that I was building a larger community. A community that was consistently coming in. I left TYT in January, and then after that, I had a lot of time. Even during the holiday season, I had a lot of time because I was in LA by myself. So I was just like streaming, and all these other people who also had nowhere to go or were bored, they also were there watching me. And I think that they appreciate that there's someone there. Maybe this is like too much. Maybe it's a little too close to dangerous territory as far as like parasocial relationships developing, but it's just the truth. Like that's how I see it. That's what I've seen, at least. And then of course coronavirus as well, unfortunately, pushed everyone home. I was living by myself with no one that I could be around. So I was streaming 13 hours a day. My dog passed away in the beginning of the pandemic. So I literally I had nothing, and I needed to get my mind off of everything. So I was just constantly streaming. So it was a back and forth. It was a give and take, where I was also relying on my community to have something to do and to have a conversation with all the time. So it goes both ways.
Do you think people can, like, do you worry that people will be able to come in with big followings already and just like kind of fuck that up? Just sort of change what is expected and what is the relationship with the network, just because they're big and they just kind of crash in here and start doing what they want? Or do you think there'll be enough of a pushback and that the dynamics of the platform will make that?
That almost never happens.
Okay.
That almost never happens. If you look at the top content creators on this platform, almost all of them are Twitch viewers first. As a matter of fact, I would say I'm one of the very few people. I mean, and I'm only speaking to NA and only speaking to English Twitch, because I have no idea what the fuck goes on in Spanish Twitch, but like, it's massive. I just don't know what's going on at all because I don't speak Spanish. But like South American Twitch is popping. I just don't know what's going on ever. But for the most part, like with YouTube, you can kind of do that, I think, especially if you have a lot of money. But with Twitch, you need the one thing that you can't really pump money into, and that is labor. Like, you have to put time, effort, and initiative into streaming every single day. So, like, while AOC, for example, popped off on the first stream, if she were to try to consistently stream, her numbers most likely wouldn't go up, but instead go down. This happens all the time. Like, one-off experiments with like larger celebrities or whatever coming onto the platform always end with their view counts tanking after like the third time that they're streaming, because it's just a novelty for the most part that gets them to be gigantic on the first stream.
Yeah, it's like people who start a newsletter and they send like 4 of them, and then they're like, I'm taking a hiatus. This is hard. This sucks. I mean, I guess I'm sort of curious to that point. Like, you know, Charlie and I, like, we're not trying to be professional Twitch streamers. I don't know about you. I don't want to speak for you, Charlie, but like, you know, I have a job. I like my job, but I also really like doing this. I want to be better at it. Like, I don't have like an ideological goal here. I think this is an interesting platform, and I am a gamer, and I am a stream watcher, and I want to just play around and see what's possible here. Like, how do you think journalists like us should be using Twitch?
Yeah, how do we do this? Is my last chopper out, by the way. So Kevin, you might want. I want to send. So help.
Okay. Like, how should journalists utilize Twitch?
Like, I don't specifically us.
Okay. Well,
yeah. Like, how should we try to make this shit work,
dude? I mean, look, I'm someone in the media as well. I'm a commentator. I'm not a journalist, but you have access to an unlimited supply of like crowdsourced information at the touch of your fingertips, as long as you can build a community. Like, I rely heavily on my chat. I say this all the time. Like, I would be nothing. I would just be a random dude yelling at his wall every day if it wasn't for the people that watch me every day, the people that tune in. And I work on that relationship. I unlike most other streamers, I talk to them every day. I recognize individual names, even in 22,000 people in the sea of comments. Like, I know who I can trust. I know what their backgrounds are. And a lot of times, like, there's like, there are people that I absolutely have a back and forth conversation with consistently. And there are so many people in here that also have similar opinions that we together reach a much larger part of the internet than it is impossible for me to do on my own. You can build a network of people that can funnel you information about every single thing that's going on immediately. As a journalist, I think that would be really useful as a resource. Obviously, you'd have to vet differently, but it's a good entry point for you, for people to at least like push you in the right direction and point you in the right direction. That's one thing you can definitely do.
What about like interviewing people? Like, should we be getting? Someone says in chat, we need to be teaming up and streaming Animal Crossing with Harry Reid and Amy McGrath. Yeah, that's next week. Tune in next week.
We'll bring him to the island.
No, but like, what do you think we can do on Twitch that we can't do on YouTube or Twitter or any of the other places we're putting stuff?
What can you do on Twitch that you can't do on Twitter? I mean, I guess like, I don't know. I like, it's all about having a community that you can engage with. That's the big difference here. It's just interacting with people on the internet. You can get a much better understanding of the culture behind like gaming when you're constantly interacting with people that do that. I mean, what I do is, of course, like, I also react to certain stuff. Like, this is something that you can do as well, like live react to documentaries and whatnot. Don't get popped. I have been banned off the platform before for watching a Michael Moore documentary in the past because there was a little bit of gore there, but that's something you can do, and that's one way, because like, I think it's unique. Like, you guys are respected journalists. right? I mean, Charlie literally asked Bernie Sanders if he has Amazon Prime or not. Right? Wasn't that you, Charlie?
That was iconic.
Yeah.
We wouldn't know if it wasn't for me, man.
Yeah.
We wouldn't know.
So like, that's you can bring insight into a previously unknown area as influencers, technically influencer journalists, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about like all kinds of, like the hard thing sometimes from our perspective is when like reporting is inherently this like really weird and messy, like gross amalgam where you're just like eating food and typing and talking to 3 people at once and like having a phone call that's like quick and terse with someone who doesn't want to be maybe identified. And it's like, trying to like bring that process in is difficult. So then it becomes just like commentary, but it's like, I don't think we want to like just bring on, like one reporter all the time and just, ask them questions and basically pretend like we're doing Twitter in person.
No, that'd be really boring.
I think, yeah, I think that the numbers can reflect that sometimes, but like, yeah, I think it's, I don't know. It feels like there's a lot more, there is a lot more option, and there is a lot more like, I feel like there's not, Kevin and I talked about this first off. It's like so much of the coverage of like the internet is of the internet at all. Like it's just this separate sort of, siloed thing. And it's like trying to talk about
It's like reporters are sending like postcards back from this like place, this like exotic place called the internet. It's not like, I don't know. And I guess, I don't know, we're trying to change that.
Oh, I know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
the best thing you do is embed yourself in the space, right? Like that's what you do when you're on here all the time. Like you're embedding yourself in the culture. I don't know how many people like come into your broadcast, but I'm sure after this, like whenever you go live, I'm sure people will like tune in, check it out, see what you guys are up to. The problem is consistency. Like you have to do it consistently. You have to do it. This is the advice I give everybody. You have to do it at least for 4 hours every day. If you're going to do it like at least four hours a day, at least 4 times a week. You know what I mean? And that sounds insane, but like you're talking to someone who's been doing it for at the minimum 9 to 10 hours every single day. And I love it. And you can't really, I wouldn't be able to do actual reporting and journalism while doing this. It's perfect for broadcasting. If you're a commentator, you want to do a bunch of different things, play video games and stuff. It's perfect for me. Not necessarily perfect for someone who's like a legitimate journalist. Like I'm pretty much an AM radio host, like a conservative talk show host. I'm like Rush Limbaugh, but a leftist, or Gen Z and millennials. So what I'm doing is not necessarily new. It's just on a new medium, right? But it's not something you can do really, unless you had an IRL backpack and you were going out and doing what Donnie O'Sullivan at CNN. He's been doing a lot of good work now. I met him at the Save the Children rally, where I also went undercover as Hank Parker and talked to all these brave patriots. I don't know if you guys saw that video or not.
Has that been on your channel yet? Did I miss that?
Yeah, that was on my YouTube. It's like a 14-minute video or something. It's like a 3-hour stream, and it was awesome. I loved it. I had so much fun doing it, even though I'm still worried that I might get corona if I do it again. But that's something you could do. Obviously, not as like a persona, but like as someone from the New York Times. But even then, you're delegitimizing yourself a little bit. Like you got to put yourself in an embarrassing situation if you want to be successful, and you can't really do that and also maintain your integrity as a journalist at the New York Times if you're gonna, if you're gonna be running around with a camera being like, so what's up with these kids? Like, what's going on? Are you saving the kids? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, no, but what you're describing though is also reporting. Like I mean, maybe not running around necessarily with a camera and like trying to do it like optimizing for entertainment value, but at the same time, just like the journalism is often being like the dumbest person in the room, like asking the dumbest questions of people, like so that they tell you something interesting. I mean, again, I'm the guy who had to like ask Bernie Sanders if he had apps on his phone, but like you ask.
Yeah, we debase ourselves constantly.
Yeah, that's how this works. That's how you end up getting a lot of this stuff, is just like being really
sure.
game.
I mean, you could do that. Like you could do the straightforward coverage like that for sure. That's something you could do. It's a little bit. It requires more technical proficiency. You have to get an IRL backpack, stuff like that. But if you had that, you could literally go out and do on the ground reporting. That could also make for really good content that the New York Times could host. And I think your video division's pretty good. Like there's some really good stuff that you guys put out, but they're rarely ever on the ground. But you can't do it with an actual film crew, is what I'm saying, because it's not the same. If it's just you two running around with an IRL backpack asking questions to people, it's entirely different. I don't know if they would allow you to do that. I don't know if this is even affiliated with the New York Times or not, but
this is not like
it's pretty standard too. Like when we've both done the sort of like bigger sort of like production video thing versus going out and reporting it. It's obviously, it changes the entire dynamic when you have somebody who with a light or a camera or something. Like it's not authentic. It's not, and it changes the reactions of like the people involved. You just don't really get it.
No, it can't be. I mean, look, I do it for entertainment value because I love reactionaries. I feel at home when I'm around them because like they're just so crazy that they're so entertaining. It's just I love interacting with them. My brain is completely rotted from all the talking points that I've consumed and continue to consume every single day by watching an insane amount of like Fox News. I watch as much Fox News as your dad and mom. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know if your parents watch Fox News, but most people's parents do. I watch more Fox News than they do. So I love their talking points. So I love LARPing as a conservative and getting into those circles and like getting them to just be as honest as possible on camera because they think that they're talking to like a QAnon guy. And if you go and watch that YouTube video that I did, like you'll see that they just have the most entertaining and most interesting point of view on the world. And I'm
actually a little worried. I'm actually a little worried about that. So the other day, like the way in which we've all become addicted to this type of reactionary politics, but also just like the outrageousness, like the just ridiculousness of the last 5-6 years. Like when there was the example I'll give is there were the dueling town halls last week, and like so many people in my universe were like, yeah, I'm gonna watch the Trump one. Like the Biden one's gonna be boring. Yeah. And it's just like it just makes you think like, oh, like shit. Like, and I'm not even necessarily talking about like from the media standpoint of like, is Trump a good story? Do you like, are they secretly rooting for like whatever? Like I think a lot of that is whatever. But I think that like a real issue is that we've all just broadly become like absolutely addicted to like, yeah, I want to watch the debates because I want to see a car wreck. I want to see whatever, like, and not being able to pull away from that. That's something I worry about a lot.
I think debates have never been, I think debates are just fundamentally unimportant in the grand scheme of things anyway. So like, for me, it's entertainment. Like, I'm not going to learn anything new about Donald Trump. I just want him to crash and burn. Just like I'm not going to learn anything new about Joe Biden when I watch the Joe Biden town hall. And in that circumstance, you're just basically hoping that he doesn't like mess up in a way that makes him look super duper old and horrible, right? So it's just for pure entertainment anyway. It is the commoditization of like our political news cycle that has brought us to this point. And I think Trump weaponized that very well, obviously, in 2016, but the way he governed was so horrible that I think it doesn't really matter, and it's not really sticking this time around.
Yeah, I mean, I had the opposite experience, which is I watched part of the Biden town hall, and it was like, to your point, Charlie, it was like I was feeling this like sensation of like boredom that I hadn't. but it wasn't like an unpleasant sensation of boredom. It was like I'm watching TV and a politician's talking, and they're going into some arcane talking point, and like it was so novel. Like my dopamine, I could like feel my dopamine receptors like trying to like latch on to something and like failing, and it was just like I had to just sit there and like be bored. And it's something that I don't think like I'm very good at anymore, because I, like a lot of other people, am like sort of addicted to like the the escalating like conflict and blood sport of it all. I don't know, like if we can ever like lower that or go back. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, Hassan, let me ask you, like, are you concerned what might happen to just like a general politics audience, like a broader audience, if politics becomes a little more boring, if one way in a couple of weeks? Like, are you worried that people are going to be like, I don't want to spend my time talking or dealing with this because like I can ignore it?
Probably. But here's the thing. I didn't get to the point I got to on Twitch by accident. Like, sure, it was an emerging platform that I was in the right place in the right time. There was definitely luck involved. But the reason why, unlike any other like political streamer or anyone near that before, the reason why I was able to build an audience like this and build a community like this is because I understand. And this is something I told people I used to train at the Young Turks when I used to work there, not on camera, but as a like an advertisement operations guy, as a biz dev guy there. And it's the Bruce Lee quote. Like, you have to be like water. If you're going to survive on the internet, you have to be like water. You can never be static. You have to be super fluid and always be moving, always change stuff, always analyze data, always look to new avenues, always make things more interesting. And there's a way to do that, as Kevin pointed out, by being more and more reactionary, I guess, and make like why I left the left videos. But ultimately, that's going to dry out. You're gonna run out of things to say. So what I do instead is I watch reality TV with my audience. I play video games. I look at memes on the internet. And there's always a place for, luckily for me, I guess, or unlucky for the overall American Overton window of politics. There's always a space for a young leftist to talk about their point of view, because it is not represented at all in mainstream media. Like, what do we got? We got Chris Hayes, who's like on MSNBC, who's like the closest to the left, like a European style social democrat, maybe. I mean, it's not, there isn't really anything out there. So people naturally search for that. They look for that.
Right. And I guess I'm wondering if like the be like water is like, I mean, that's obviously good advice for content creators on the internet, right? Like things that are boring, things that don't change, things that, aren't surprising. Like that's like the death of your channel or your feed or whatever. I guess I'm just like wondering like about whether we could ever be something other than water in politics, like outside of the internet, or whether that's even a meaningful distinction anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like I was thinking to myself while watching the Biden town hall that like maybe he should be making ads where like it's like a day in the life under the Joe Biden presidency, and like, it starts off and like you get out of bed and you check your phone and like nothing has happened, and like there's been no blow up, like there's been no drama, like no one said anything crazy. You like put your phone down, you like go make breakfast with your kids and like send them off to school, and then you like go read a book or like something that is like less stimulating. Do you think there's like any
everyone's calling you a liberal? 20,000 people are calling you a liberal in my chat right now, because that is some extreme lib shit. I'm sorry. Dude, that it doesn't end. It like that doesn't happen. That's not a real thing. We were agitating for more socially more representative politics, and for social democracy, and fighting against the Democratic establishment under the Bush era. Cenk did this very successfully. Now he's a little bit old and a little out of touch, but like that's not going to stop. The struggle always continues. The American Democratic Party isn't going to turn around and magically become one with the working class. No matter how much Joe Biden now portrays himself as the Scranton guy running up against, Wall Street's very own Donald Trump. That's not going to change. So there's always going to be issues within the Democratic Party, and those problems persist, especially for the most marginalized communities, both on the internet and in America in general, and also worldwide, because our foreign policy, our imperialism is never going to go out of style, especially under a democratic establishment. Did you just pull up my chat to see if they're calling you liberal?
No, I'm sure they are, because they're also calling me a lib in our chat. So
okay, yeah. So
it's not going to do Kevin any good to get shit on more.
That's the thing. There's always work, and there's always more people that you can reach and educate and make them aware of the inherent contradictions. That's never going to end. And that's fortunate for me personally as an independent content creator, but very unfortunate in the grand scheme of things, because it shows that, there aren't any union organizing. There isn't exactly union organizing out there that's educating people in this exact same way. So it's, I think that while a lot of people will certainly want to return to normalcy and no longer tune into politics, there's still going to be a lot of conflict that's going on. The news is never going to stop. And as far as being entertaining consistently, I don't have to dance around and embarrass myself. I mean, the greatest example I can give you is Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart's Daily Show was very consistent and very good, and there was always an audience for it. And I think the most significant reason why there was an audience for it is because Jon Stewart was talking about things that people in the media weren't, whether it be the illegitimate nature of our invasion in Iraq, or how horrifying the monsters of the Republican Party were in terms that are palatable to the broader electorate. And same with even criticizing the Democratic Party when they deserve to be criticized, and they certainly do quite frequently. So I'm not really fearful of the interest. I'm not fearful of people losing interest in politics. Will I have, who knows how many people are going to watch me tomorrow night when I'm watching the debate? Probably, I assume 100,000, maybe 200,000 people concurrent will probably tune in. 125,000 tuned in for the first debate. But do I think that that's the audience that I'm going to keep having after the election? No, but it doesn't really matter. There will still be a place for, there's an ever-growing community, and there will still be a place where people can come and tune in and learn more about the news. And
it also seems too, we can't necessarily put this back in the box. Like the even if we're not getting the dopamine thing, I think a lot of, especially people who become hyper focused on this, it's pretty hard to just let that go, regardless of what happens. Even if there is sort of a decrease in sort of the steam, the tension, a little bit of a release valve. But I don't know. I feel like the sort of, even just to be cynical about it, the political hobbyism of it, it's a hobby for people. It's a thing to do. I look at my father during the pandemic got really into cable news and a lot of following politics, because he was someone who channeled that energy into sports, and sports went away for a while, and sports came back, and he was this is actually, I'm more into this now. So I don't think we're gonna get that. I don't think we're gonna get that back. Or at least not easily. So,
yeah, no, you're certainly right. I think a lot of people do hold on to it, because they hate Donald Trump, and that's the team is hating Donald Trump, and that will probably go away if Joe Biden does become president. But the problems won't go away, and I think that there are a lot of people who are becoming more and more aware of these sorts of things. And every single time that something important happens, I'm still going to be here covering it. And when there's a peak in the viewership, people stick around. New people find out about my coverage, and then they like the community, and they they want to get informed here. I mean, this is just like, I don't know. This is how Twitch streamers maintain their audiences. There's constantly new games. There's constantly new things that the streamer is doing, and there's people that leave for a little bit and then come back. But overall, it's always just a growing community.
I like that there are people in our chat right now saying that they're scaring Kevin and I just want those people to know that we deal with a lot of way worse shit.
Yeah, this is not our first rodeo.
Hey, what are they? I don't know what they're saying. I'll ban them if they're being fucking.
No, they're fine. They do have a question for you though, which is, what's the average muscle density of your gaming audience?
Oh, very buff. The buffest. They're the most jacked. In my audience, the most muscular audience members are the ones who routinely demand gaming. It's a joke because I just I half my audience whenever I'm playing video games, so everyone makes fun of me for it. So I try to market the chads in my community as the gaming demanders and gaming respecters.
Nice. And another question that came in was how many viewers under a Joe Biden presidency?
I don't know. I have no idea. We'll see when it happens. This is something that like people talk about so much. It's like, look, so many people. In the beginning of this year, I was averaging 5,000 people a day. Okay, in January it was like around 5,000 to 8,000 people, and everyone kept saying, "Oh, it's only because Bernie is relevant." And once Bernie is gone, you're gone. You're gonna be back to having 1,000 viewers watch you. The only reason why people are interested in what you have to say is because of Bernie Sanders, because you love Bernie and you cover Bernie all the time, and you're a Bernie bro and you're a Bernie buster, whatever the fuck people were saying. And guess what? It didn't happen. And then they were like, oh, it's because the George Floyd protests are happening, or it's because of coronavirus, and you're constantly covering the protests, and that's why your audience is growing, but it's going to go away once the protests are over. Oh, it's an election cycle, and that's why you have a larger audience. I will probably experience a drop-off in viewership once the election cycle is over. That's fine. But I don't know. Let me worry about that. Okay, guys? Not you, Kevin and Charlie. I mean, people in my audience who constantly fucking worry about how many people are going to be watching me. They love pocket watching, and they love view count watching more than anything else. Or they're just like, oh, dude, you're going to be fucking irrelevant tomorrow once, the election cycle's over.
Well, if they want to know about irrelevancy, they should just pop on over to our feed over here and
what do you mean, man? Really you guys are circulating to the entire nation.
Really get a look at mediocrity. Just come on over to Infinite Scroll.
Oh yeah, let's plug
the
stream. Infinite Scroll is our stream. Hassan, what else should we talk about? I mean, I feel like we've covered a lot here. Like, do you want to do this? Will you come back at some point?
Yeah,
once we've like Charlie, they chat wants to know if your microphone is plugged in. I told them it probably wasn't.
It's no. This is a complete prop at the moment. I'm in a different location. I'm not in my house right now. And
Charlie's in his apocalypse bunker.
This is an attic. This is.
Oh, we could tell.
Yeah, I know.
You have the best microphone, the SMB7, but it sounds like you're speaking out of an AirPod. That's why everyone was making fun of you.
Yeah, no, I know. This is just
you also have like a 56K modem right now. So we're going to get
You have the Windows XP background, okay? You can't talk either. What's going on?
This is from Windows XP?
What's going on there?
I had no idea.
Did you think that green pasture was...
I just thought it was a pretty picture that reminded me of my youth.
Yeah, Windows XP.
Kevin actually paid like $2,000 for that at auction. Just
shut up.
I paid $39 for it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. No, it looked like a Ross Dress for Less bargain bin purchase. It didn't. I hope you didn't actually pay $2,000 for it.
Wow. Rough. Well, we'll get our shit together. We will like get our gear. I'll be able to play things that are more than 2 frames a second. Charlie will have a microphone that actually works, and then we'll have you back on.
No, absolutely. No, by the way, this is awesome. I hope you guys don't get mad that I'm like roasting you or even talking shit about the New York Times and stuff. But
no, it's fine. It's great. This has been so much fun.
This is what we want. Yeah, I feel like I actually know, or I have a handle on like what we can make this, as opposed to just flying 100% blind and having like 9 people tune in and tell us that we're idiots. Well, so this is good.
I think if I'm giving you streaming tips, and I told you this in the DMs earlier already, Charlie, but like you gotta have consistency and you gotta build habitual viewership, and you have to do it for longer. And the fact that you guys are 2 people could be an advantage. It could be unique. I haven't really seen like a stream team like that, but just staying on the podcast format is probably not the best thing. Like, oh, well, people are saying Botep, and Botez, like the sisters, the chess sisters that really blew up in popularity in the last like chess meta that took Twitch over took Twitch over completely. But and I guess Chapo as well. But they usually do like time slots where like one of them is streaming, or they sit in the same room together and stream together and react together. But like there is a lot of filler content that you guys are just kind of leaving on the table, and specifically like reacting to cool shit that you care about on YouTube would be a really easy way to generate more viewers. And then you can say, I don't know, America deserved 9/11 or something, and then every outlet will cover you and say that you're a terrorist.
I mean, we're definitely gonna cancel ourselves in some way on here. I don't think that's going to be the way, but we're definitely going to do something wrong.
Oh, don't worry. Here's the thing. You won't even need to do something if you get to a certain level of, if you have a consistent audience of like 5,000 people, there is going to be at least like 100 Nazis in there that are like, fuck you. There's going to be like one poll. There's going to be like one poll thread, like these fucking New York Times. There might be one right now, actually, not because you're interacting with me, that are like, oh, these fucking New York Times journalists are on here. Let's get them, boys. Like, let's fucking get them out of this. Let's get them off the platform. You know, gay ops, which has really diminished in their power and interest over the last couple of years. It used to be, you know, they would find Shia LaBeouf and like disrupt his like art project or whatever.
The flag experiment, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But now it's more like I guess Iranian dudes writing threads on 4chan about how you can actually change people's registration, and then everyone on 4chan, because now it's so populated by boomers, I think, because of QAnon, believing in that. And then it getting like actual coverage and the FBI involved.
For Anon being Jesus Christ, 4chan being taken over by boomers because of QAnon is a great narrative. I look forward to seeing that play out a little further.
Hassan, thank you for tolerating us.
Yeah, seriously.
This was awesome. Thank you for having me, guys.
We owe you a consulting fee for your content coaching, and
not at all.
And come back anytime.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, guys. Seriously, this was great.
Thank you. All right, see you soon.
Man.
That was fun. We're still on, but
there's
I like that guy.
By far the most anyone has ever paid attention to this via drafting off the fumes of somebody who knows what they're doing. It's just we're
at our high viewer count right this minute.
You're watching history be made here.
Right here.
Even as I talk into my fake microphone, That's deeply embarrassing to get called out on that. I just absolutely.
I mean, your microphone does kind of sound like garbage.
Yeah, I mean, everything about this right now is child's play. This is some real garbage happening in real time.
Yeah, but let's plug the stream one more time. It's Infinite Scroll, a Twitch show about stuff.
You're gonna put it up, right? You're gonna do it, little Chiron.
Yeah, we got to.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. We got to eventually update our tagline and get some graphics that I didn't make in Microsoft Paint 10 minutes before we went live, and we'll get better at this. We're gonna work on it.
We're gonna try.
We're gonna get emotes. We're gonna get partnered. We're gonna get mods. It's gonna be great.
Since there are actually people here too, like if there's stuff you're actually interested in from like the journalistic perspective of like we can bring people on, like I don't know, just like give us some ideas of what you want to see, because truly like we do want to build something here a little bit.
And we can do a little you can go a little longer, right, Charlie?
Yeah.
Do you want to should we just do like a little like AMA or just help us out? Like what should we do? What do you guys want to see? We're two New York Times journalists. We both write about sort of technology and culture. This is not like an official New York Times anything, just to be clear. But we do work there. I'm wearing this shirt just coincidentally today. How can we be good at this? What would be good? We got commenters saying memes and React stuff. We've got some discussions about how the sausage is made in journalism.
Watch 90 Day Fiance. I can do that. I can definitely do that. I'm watching The Vow right now, and it is, man, it's wild. It's wild how much cult stuff has just purely trickled into.
Wait, is the Vow the NXIVM one?
Yeah, it's the sex cult in Albany, which like this guy just got like the most interesting thing about the guy is that he got all these people to move to Albany, like these like celebrities and like people with the live. Anyway, the thing that I was noticing is like that was sort of like in the 2000s, the aughts, and the 2010s, but like so much of that stuff has trickled onto the internet and just like now just lives there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just very depressing to see all those dynamics exist like in meat space, and now just like exists primarily there where they're like weaponized and scalable. It's just really, really depressing. But I don't think we can watch that because HBO will DMCA us into oblivion.
I think probably the same with Borat. I was thinking we should watch the Borat thing on Friday, but there's zero chance we would not get nuked for that.
I think isn't Hassan doing something with that? I think he's doing something with that. Like an actual sponsored thing.
That's cool.
Yeah, some kind of watch party. I can't follow the chat at this speed because I don't have the skills here. But yeah, no, I mean we'll do React stuff. We'll do like a tour of the meme garden. Kevin's dank meme stash. If you're interested, we can have Kevin take us through a spin of the top 10, the Facebook top 10 pages. But yeah, just like, I mean,
this is an idea. We should do bad journalism reviews. We could do.
What do you guys mean by bad journalism reviews, though? Because
I think they mean like reacting to bad journalism.
Sure. I mean,
this is a good idea, actually. Reacting to controversial news stories and breaking down the process for verifying things. I think we actually could do that, because I think that's like a kind of sausage making that like doesn't really, like, I don't really see that much of, and I actually think people are more interested in it. Like to us, it just feels like work and it's boring. But we could definitely do some sort of behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Look at past articles and do deep dives about how we researched and wrote. For sure, we could do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's the whole like bill becomes a law of like a shit post in some corner of whatever becomes, you know, like a Trump thing. That is sped up though so fast now that it's actually like it's one of those things where it's just like there used to be 10 steps and now it's just like Dan Scavino posted on Trump's account and it's over. So
yeah. Do you guys have chat? Do you have ideas of like who we should interview? I mean, one thing that is kind of cool about, I mean, there are many cool things I think about working at the New York Times. One of them is like we can sometimes call people and get them to, you know, talk to us. We could get people on the stream. We've done a little bit of that so far. We've had people like Alex Stamos on. We've had, you know, other New York Times journalists. Like, would guests be good, or do you kind of like it to be like fewer people? Could we get Kara Swisher?
Seeing far too much Hunter Biden on this.
Could we get Kara Swisher? I think we could get Kara Swisher.
Get Kara.
Also think we could get Mike Isaac in here.
Yeah, those are easy.
Yeah, those are gimmies.
Those are literally the people that like work in our organization who we know. We can reach a little bit higher.
Yeah, we could. I mean, we could get some senators in here. Probably not senators. Probably no self-respecting senator is going to come on our show. Yeah, Hunter Biden. I don't think we can get Hunter Biden. I think he might be a little busy. Guests are great.
Quite an exclusive.
Wait, who is Queen Liz? I want to know who's Queen Liz.
It's a fair amount of AOC. You know, I mean, we can dream.
Dr. Fauci, Sarah Silverman. We actually, I could try Sarah Silverman. She, I think she follows me on Twitter. Yeah, I mean, lots of ideas here. We're gonna go through these later, but like, I think that we should try. Oh, Liz Brunig is Queen Liz. Who, Charlie, you probably have access to as someone in opinion.
We are our work chat friends. Yeah, I mean, we'll make the ask. You know, we'll see. Can't promise, but
Taylor Lorenz actually has already been on our stream, but we'll definitely have her back. She's amazing. Yeah, I mean, we are just making shit up as we go along, clearly. But I think we
this is a family friendly. This is a family friendly.
Somebody's okay. Yeah, we're gonna skip that one. But I think we're trying to do. I mean, one thing that Hassan said that I think, you know, struck me is like he's doing 4 hours a day minimum, right? And like you and I both have like jobs, you know, that are on Twitch, and like I would probably have a hard time doing 4 hours a day of anything except staring at the internet, which I guess this is.
Would you guys? I mean, are we total frauds if we're doing this?
Yeah, like what if we did like 2 hours twice a week?
Or are we upping it? What do you need from us? What do you need from us? This is I've never felt so beholden to strangers on the internet. Normally I'm just like fighting them off.
They're saying consistency is the key, which I think is right. Like I think we just have to like put it on the schedule, like tell people when we're gonna be on stream and then do it. Like we can try different kinds, but I think that's good advice, is to just like, you know, give people a little predictability. Yeah, 3 times a week for somebody's saying 3 times a week is pretty good on a solid schedule for 2 hours. So yeah, we're not gonna clock as many hours as Hassan for sure, but I do think like I like it here. It feels a little better than like just throwing things onto Twitter all day and like watching them, come back like poisoned. And
10 times worse than they were when you started.
Yeah, but like we'll play some games, we'll watch some videos, we'll have some guests. Like we're gonna just try a bunch of stuff and see if it works. And we hope you guys will come back because we're new at this clearly. But I think we could have a good time with it, and I think we'll get better as we go on. So just subscribe, sign up, like for notifications, whatever you want to do. But maybe let us get our shit together first before you invest too heavily in anything we're doing here. But I do think like this is a really fun thing. I like talking with Charlie. You're like one of my best work friends, and like I really think it's just nice to have a space that is not our like normal internet space.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing to be able to have a conversation that's like free flowing in any way, like not even as structured as like a podcast, like where you just able to like talk about stuff. Like the reason we started it was because our Slack chats were always like more interesting than our Twitter pages and like sometimes even like the pieces that we wrote that came out of those chats. So like it ends up being like taking behind, like I want to do more of like bringing people behind the actual like process of all of this, because it's also like it's both like more interesting and like less like conspiratorial or intriguing than like most people
Yeah, I think journalism is at once like more interesting and way less interesting than people think it is from like watching movies and stuff. I'm being told by chat that we don't actually have a subscribe button. Wait, what is the difference between follow and subscribe? Oh my God, we're so dumb.
No, it's embarrassing. But the thing is, if we can get most of
subs are paid, followers are not. So yeah, we're not getting paid from this. This is not a money making thing for us. But we would.
Pure. It's pure. We're pure right now. We're innocent, just babes in the wilderness here.
Yeah. And here's us on Twitter. I'll put this up.
Yeah, we know what we're doing on Twitter. We know how to like fight and like shit post on Twitter. So go follow us in there. Kevin Ruse, C. Warzel. That's
is that how you pronounce your last name?
Warzel.
Warzel.
You didn't know how to pronounce my last name?
I thought it was. I knew that was how it's pronounced, but I was putting the emphasis on the Warzel.
Ever since you started buying very expensive Microsoft art and hanging on your walls, I don't even know who you are anymore.
I've changed.
This is upsetting.
This is
upsetting. It's fine. It's fine. All right, we're gonna go.
We're gonna go.
This is.
Thanks, chat.
Come back, please.
You guys are gonna help us through this. We're gonna learn. You guys are gonna help. Yeah, really appreciate everyone coming out, and we'll see you next time.